Thanks, Philip, and welcome to Today in Putnam County. We're talking about all the great things happening in our community. Glad you're with us this morning. Hope you're having a great weekend. My guests today are JoJo Matheney and Elisabeth Jones from the White Plains Academy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
How
morning.
are you?
I'm great. Thanks for being on the show this morning.
Thank you for having us.
We have a great honoree with us this morning.
Yes.
Elisabeth, you were just named the Teacher of the Year at White Plains. Congratulations.
Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think there was a little bit of confusion there. My picture was chosen to be on the front page of Herald Citizen,
Of
which
course
was an
it
honor
was.
for me.
It was.
But many people were under the impression I won the county Teacher of the Year. Now, I did win that in 2008.
You did.
But I was just honored, well, not just, I was honored with my fellow teachers, my colleagues, choosing me to be the White Plains Teacher of the Year for this school year.
Well, and that's great, and congratulations
Thank you.
again. We have some great teachers in Putnam County. You're
That we
one of
do.
them, and we have a great school system. Today, I want to talk about both of you and your careers, and also about White Plains School and the situations that y'all deal with, and the issues, the good things, the way our citizens can help, and so forth with our school system. So let's dive in. Let's tell a little bit about the award. How does that work each year?
Every year, teachers at each elementary, middle, and high school in Putnam County are asked to nominate a colleague for Teacher of the Year, and whoever gets the most nominations becomes that school building's Teacher of the Year. Monterey High School, Cookeville High School, Avery Trace, Prescott, and so forth. And then each building Teacher of the Year goes to the central office and has an interview. My interview this year was with Mr. Tim Martin, who's middle school supervisor, Dr. Sharon Anderson, who's high school supervisor of high school curriculum, Mrs. Judy Schinbeckler, who is in charge of professional development, and the two previous middle school and high school winners.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was a little bit daunting. It was
It
like,
was.
appearing in front of the Star Chamber. But they had some really pointed questions about my teaching philosophy and my experience. And the application itself, once you're chosen to be your school building's Teacher of the Year, you have to fill out an application, which includes an essay.
Wow.
No, it includes 2 essays. So you had to fill out some basic information, and then you had to do teaching philosophy, and then a written reaction to a question. And I've slept since then, and I can't remember what the other question was.
Well, so this is a big deal. It's not just like JoJo saying, I'm going to pick Elizabeth
No,
this
our
year.
teachers nominate their colleagues. We have Rotary Teacher of the Year, and we have Putnam County School Teacher of the Year, and she was nominated for that, and she won that. So we have, it's a big honor.
That's
It
great.
really was. I was surprised, yeah.
That's great. Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about your history and career as a teacher. I know you've been in this for several years.
This is my 30th year
Wow.
of teaching. It would have been my 31st, but I took a year off and moved to Canada with my husband to Calgary, Alberta.
What were you thinking?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Love.
Yeah,
Love
what
struck.
can I say? My husband, Hal Harder, is my buddy, and I thought, well, I'll try this. I'll be a big girl. And I moved out west, and I was so homesick. I just cried and cried, and he said, I'll take you back home.
Wow, what a good guy.
He is one of the best guys, and he lives here now, and he's an independent graphic designer, freelance, has several companies. I was born in Cookeville. My parents moved here from Chapel Hill in 1964 when my brother was 2, and my mother was pregnant with me. My father had gotten a job at a little university in some podunk town named Cookeville.
Oh, wow. Small town back then.
It actually really very small. And he taught the history department at Tech, and eventually becoming the chairman of the history department. Dad died in 1993, and we miss him a lot. But I started teaching in the late 80s, and I've taught every grade, 7 through 12, English and history at the old junior high school, Avery Trace, Monterey High School, and now White Plains Academy, and I love it.
What a career,
I
30
love
years
it.
in teaching, and got to be very rewarding. My sister is a teacher, teaches first, second, and third. I think she's been in teaching for about 25 years in another county. But she talks about how rewarding it is, and And do you run into those situations where you're out in the public and you have your old students come up to you and that maybe have been 20 years ago
No,
or
this
something?
is actually what I grew up with because my mother, Jean Jones, taught at Cookeville High. Well, she first started in the late 60s at the old junior high school and taught French, and in the early 70s she transferred to Cookeville, which was then Putnam County Senior High School, and she
Right.
taught French and English there until she retired in the early 90s. So as a child, I saw people running up in public, Miss Jones, Miss Jones. I saw former students of hers who just adored her. I hung out at school with my mom, and I hung out at TAC with my dad. So it just, I guess it was inevitable. I didn't consider doing anything else.
Just, well, a gift. I think it's a gift to be a good teacher and to be able to.
I would hope that I am the best parts of both of my parents.
I think that speaks well. JoJo, a little bit about you. You're a principal at
Yes, sir.
White Plains. Tell us about your history.
This is my 34th year in education.
Wow, now that even more amazing.
I'm telling
Yes.
you.
I started out in southeast Tennessee in a community called Meigs County. County seat was Decatur.
Mm-hmm.
It was a K through 12 school. Taught resource English and math, and football coach there. Then I was there for 3 years. Moved to Monterey for 2 years. Then opening come at Cookeville High School. I was there for 11 years. The first 5 years as a teacher, and no, for 6 years as a teacher. And the last 5 years as an assistant principal. Tom Parker asked me if I would be willing to join his administrative team when we moved over to the Cookeville High School. And I accepted that, and so I was there for 5 years, Monterey High School for 7 years, and now this is my 11th year at White Plains. That principal at Monterey High School and White Plains hired Miss Elisabeth Jones not once, but twice.
Joe was my
Twice.
principal when I taught at Monterey High School.
Wow,
Yeah.
so you kind of followed each
Well,
other.
and I also went to high school with JoJo. He was a senior when I was a sophomore.
Isn't that amazing how life works out sometimes?
It really is.
I knew her brother, and I just remember her vaguely, and I guess the ones that really encouraged me to hire her and signed off on it was Martha Clift and Carolyn Medley.
Wow.
Oh, two
And
great
they
ladies.
were great, awesome teachers
Absolutely.
in their building, and they gave me their thumbs up, so I kind of felt pressure to hire her, and I'm glad I did.
I think you made a good choice.
I hope
Thank
so.
That was a great choice. You're listening to Today in Putnam County on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. I'm Randy Porter, your host. We're talking with JoJo Matheney and Elisabeth Jones this morning from White Plains Academy. More with them when we come back. Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter. The show's talking about all the great things happening in our community. Hope you're having a great Saturday morning. Today we're talking with JoJo Matheney and Elisabeth Jones from White Plains Academy. JoJo, you've been the principal there for about 11 years. Tell us a little bit about White Plains, and it's a special school.
It is. White Plains is a K through 12 school. For a little bit of back history, we were formerly known as Dry Valley Alternative School. Dry Valley came in existence around the late 70s, early 80s, and then in 2009, we moved to the old Allgood High School and changed our name to White Plains Academy. Again, we're a K through 12 school. Our students come to us for a few reasons. One, we have students who maybe went in afoul of the zero tolerance issues at their home school. We have students there who are for behavior issues, and we have students who are there because of academics. They're behind. So our students fall in basically those three categories. And right now, currently, we have right at 80 students, and that's a little bit high for us at this time of the year. We'll get up probably at this rate close to probably 95 to 98 students at the end of the school year.
So our county is really growing. A
Yes,
lot
sir.
of building going on, a lot of new folks moving in. Are you seeing that is that increasing the population at your school also, do you think?
It will not increase our population per se. It will increase the populations at the other
At the
schools.
old school system?
For a student to come to our school, there's actually a process they have to go through. Mr. Corby King, he's the assistant director of schools. A principal or assistant principal guidance counselor schedules a meeting with Mr. King, with the student and their parents, and then they looked at the merits of each student's case and determines if the White Plains is an appropriate placement or not.
So the goal with them coming to White Plains is smaller group,
Very much so.
more one-on-one interaction, Elisabeth, that you
Yes,
see with your
yes.
students?
I was just thinking, as Joe said, we have, what, do you say 80 students right now? There might be people out there thinking, oh my gosh, that's nothing. But it's interesting. Before I came to White Plains, I taught for 23 years before I came to White Plains. And I had taught 7th and 8th grade in Cookeville. I had taught 10th and 11th grade, a couple of 9th grade classes at Monterey. And I don't know what I expected when I came to White Plains. Actually, I just wanted the opportunity. I wasn't sent there, because I was a quote.
Troublemaker.
That's what someone said. What'd you do to get sent to White Plains? I chose. All of our teachers chose to come there, and it's like a mission. It really is, and I'm exhausted, but it's a happy exhausted.
Right.
There are fewer students in each of my classes, to be sure. I don't have 30 children in each class. I might have 10 or 11. However, those 10 or 11 need intense
Special
interaction.
attention. Yeah.
And it might be an academic interaction. It might be a social, emotional connection. And if you're in a class of 30 students or 35 students and you need intense social, emotional interaction,
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult for a regular classroom teacher to give that. And as a former regular classroom teacher, it was one of my biggest heartbreaks that I didn't have time or resources to reach those individual students who needed me.
I heard a new acronym, ACEs.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell a bit about that? Because until I started talking to you about coming on the show, I had not heard about that.
ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, and it not only determines or deals with young people, it's all in the way into adulthood. And I'll let Elisabeth go into that a little bit more. She's done quite extensive research and studies on that. But the more ACEs a student has, the more social and emotional issues we have. And before she explains to that, the biggest thing that we can do initially up front is make sure that the student has food, shelter, and clothing.
The basics.
The basics. And then after that, we are able to form, hopefully, a relationship with the students, and then we can get into the academic part of it. And most of our students, we try to look at it as form an individual educational program for each student, as opposed to grouping them all together. And she does a good job of differentiations in her classroom. And
Well, I just said, if their basic needs aren't being met, if you look upon it as a triangle, if the bottom of the triangle isn't, it's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for those of you out there who want to look it up. If their basic needs aren't being met, then their higher level needs can't be met.
Right.
Good gracious, I don't know if I could talk all day about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. I'll start right off by suggesting to the audience that they go to a website called ACES Too High,
Okay.
ACESTOOHIGH.com, ACES2high.com, and you can get all sorts of information out there. Adverse childhood experiences, there's a list of 10, and they've actually come up with some subcategories too. 10 basic adverse experiences if a person under the age of 18 experiences these. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional neglect, seeing mother physically assaulted, parent incarcerated, divorce. And divorce is so common that if your parents are divorced before you were 18, that's considered an ACE, an adverse childhood experience. If you have someone, I think I said incarcerated, someone in immediate family on drugs, someone in your immediate family who has died, they're a total of 10. Now, as you and I were casually saying before the show, this makes sense, and when I tell you this, you're going to say, well, of course, but this is just a little frightening. If you can take that 10-question quiz, and if you have 4 ACEs, this is before the age of 18, you are 4,500% more likely to be obese, have heart issues, have kidney cancer, be a smoker, be a drinker, or be physically or emotionally abusive. Because we've all heard the vicious circle. If you were abused, you're more likely to become an abuser. If you have 6 or more ACEs, your life expectancy can be reduced by 20 years.
That's amazing. Well, it's actually shocking that these folks have had these experiences happen in their lives that they probably had no control over. It's not like
No.
they did something wrong.
Exactly.
It's where that people have all these type of things, abuse and all these different things have happened to them. So they get all these experiences, these bad experiences in their life. They're put into the school system. It's affecting them mentally, physically, in every kind of way. So at some point in time, they start having problems. Maybe
Yes.
their grades go down or whatever, and then that's when they get put out to you to try to help them to get back.
We have charted some of our students, and the grades, if you were going back to kindergarten up to when we get them, have been fine, and then all of a sudden there's such a steep decline in the grades, behavior. And when you dig into that a little bit deeper, you may find out that there's some traumatic experience. You lost a mother, lost a father,
Mhm.
something went awry at home, and then that is a big indicator of a student's success. And the more of these ACEs you have, it continues that spiral
That
down.
downhill
Yes,
decline. We're going to talk more about that in our next segment. We're talking with JoJo Matheney and Elisabeth Jones this morning from White Plains Academy. You're listening today in Putnam County on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. Stay with us. More with these guys when we come back. Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter. The show's talking about all the great things happening in our community. I hope you're having a great weekend. We're talking with JoJo Matheney and Elisabeth Jones from White Plains Academy this morning. And when we ended our last segment, we were talking about something new to me that I had not heard of, and that's called ACEs.
Yes.
Adverse Childhood Experiences. Tell me, where did that start?
Well, you know, it's new to you in the year 2019, but the time period the whole thing started was the mid-'80s, really.
Wow.
Our whole country is woefully behind in addressing the needs of traumatized children. In San Diego in the mid-'80s, a man named Vincent Felitti ran an obesity clinic through Kaiser Permanente. And it wasn't just people who needed to lose 75 or 100 pounds. These were people who needed to lose 300, 400 pounds. And he noticed that many of his patients were dropping out of the obesity clinic. And he wanted to know why. So he began to interview them. And he had a set number of questions that he would ask them. And, you know, such as, what age did you start school? What age did you do this? What age did you do that? And they were pretty personal questions. And he misspoke one of his questions to one of his females. And he said, at what weight did you have your first sexual experience? And she said 40 pounds. And he thought he didn't hear her right, but he accidentally misspoke it again. He goes, what weight was that you had your first sexual experience? She burst into tears. She said, 40 pounds. I was 4 years old. It was with my father,
molested.
by her
Wow.
father. And that, you know, shocked him, and he began to dig into that. He found out that nearly 75% of his patients who dropped out of the clinic had been physically or sexually abused as children.
That's sad.
And the weight was their way of becoming invisible and protecting themselves. So with the genesis of this in mind, he got some colleagues together and they came up with that 10-question questionnaire. Now, the sample they chose to use were Kaiser Permanente patients who consented. It was about 17,000 patients. Out of 17,000 patients, most of them had one ACE, half of them had 2 or 3, and you know there were many people, I can't give the exact numbers right now, that had 4 ACEs or more. And what's even more shocking is this sample of 17,000 people were white, middle-class, college-educated people.
Wow.
And, you know, we equate trauma with, you know, lower income or living
Right.
in urban areas.
Which is
It's
not true.
everywhere, every religion, every color, every socioeconomic level. And so the end of this is that we're becoming more and more aware, and communities are beginning to become aware of ACEs. Johnson City has blazed a trail in this. Their fire department, their police department, their school system, their city council. They've all banded together to become trauma informed, their whole city.
So
is it fair to say that most of us probably have had an ACE in our life, at least one or two? Judge?
I'd say we probably had at least 2, if not more. I took the test. We, as a faculty and staff, had an in-service over this at the beginning of the school year. I think I had 4 or 5, and I really hadn't thought about it, and I go back and look at and evaluate that, how has that affected me, and I can see maybe decisions I've made or things that have went on in my life that this ACE has maybe affected.
Has affected that. So you're seeing these children coming into your school that have these ACEs, and some of them having a lot of them.
Yes, sir.
And they may not understand what's going on
No,
with
they
them.
don't.
No.
So how does that change the way that you teach or how that you instruct at White Plains?
Well, 34 years ago, obviously the times were different. Being a football coach, you did what I said, you just did it.
Right.
You didn't talk back. But from that, my evolution from a football coach and classroom teacher to an administrator, I'm learning to, and I have learned to slow down, find out about what's going on in that child's life, tell me about what's going on, and then, again, our students will come and tell us things that maybe they won't tell or they can't tell anyone else, and so I try to build that relationship. I still believe in the discipline. I still believe you know what you're supposed to do, but
Right.
it has changed my approach as to how I deal with that child, because I don't know what he or she's been through, even from 3 o'clock to this afternoon till 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Things can drastically go wrong for some of our children,
Right.
and I need to be open and receptive to that. I encourage our teachers first thing of the morning to have small groups just to talk to the child. How was you eating?
Circle
How was
time.
something going? And
Building
our-
those
our
relationships with those
kindergarten or
children.
K through 4 teacher and their 5 through 7 teacher do a real good job of that. Their students come in, they say what they need to say. That lets the teachers know what type of day. As they get older, they may share things with us, and when we know that they're having a bad day, we can go back and ask them, is this part of your problem or
Right.
causing an issue today? And our children or students will be pretty much honest with us and tell us they're having issues.
Wow.
The ACE's mindset is not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you.
What happened to you and
Mhm.
trying to get
And
deeper
my
into that.
homeroom this year is 8th grade, and I've talked to them about being in the green zone, the yellow zone, or the red zone. Green is, everything's cool. I'm having a great day. Yellow is, I'm barely hanging on. I'm really, jacked up. I'm just holding it all in. And a red zone is where they get in huge trouble, and you might start a fight with somebody or throw something or yell at a teacher or run out of a classroom. That's the general horrible misbehavior. And so, many of our students come to school in the morning in the yellow zone.
Wow.
And something that might just slightly annoy you or me sends them into a rage.
Cause them trouble. In the last minute we've got here, tell me what the community can do to participate and help White Plains. I know you've got sponsors and adopters.
We
and so
love our
forth.
adopters.
We have great adopters. We have cookable breakfast and cookable noonday Rotary. We have Kainos Church. We have Advanced Cleaning. Those are our official adopters. But we have several churches, individuals that will come out. The churches will come out and have meals for us. They'll invite us over to their gym and to play. We have had community members to write a check to our school, and what I would like to do is give each student a sweatshirt or a hoodie and a t-shirt. We do have a school dress code, navy blue khaki pants. I do not get into pants because of various sizes and shapes, so I
Right.
don't do that, but a sweatshirt and a t-shirt is awesome that we can give them.
How can they contact White Plains? What's the phone number that they can?
Our number is 937.
Nope,
931.
931.
537-3862.
And if they want more information on how they can help White Plains, give you a call.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
Yes.
so much for being on the show this
Thank you
morning.
for giving us this opportunity.
Congratulations again on the
Thank
award.
you.
I have to say, you're the sister of our county attorney, Jeff Jones, which is a
I'm
great friend
so
of mine.
proud of my big brother.
He's a great guy. Thanks, guys, for being on this morning.
Thank you for having us.
And I'll have you back at some point in time, and let's
We'd love
dive
to.
deeper into this.
We'll
Thank
do
you.
it.
Okay, next up on the show is What's Happening. It's part of the show where I keep you informed of some of the special events going on in Putnam County. Today, the Upper Cumberland Pet Expo is going on at the Hyder Birch Pavilion. It's hosted by the Friends of the Putnam County Animal Shelter. Go by and check those out. It's going on today at Hyder Birch from 10 to 4. Saturday, April the 13th at 6 p.m., the Cookville Regional Charitable Foundation's Pink Gala. It's at Leslie Town Center. All the proceeds go to the Ladies Mammogram Program. Saturday, April the 20th at 10 a.m., second annual adult Easter egg hunt at Delmonico Winery. 4,000 eggs filled with prizes. You can go to their website and check it out. Also on Saturday, April the 20th at 10 a.m., City of Allgood is having a Kitty's Easter egg hunt. It'll be at the White Plains Historic Home. You can check their website out for more details also. Also on Saturday, April the 27th at 10 a.m., the Major Market at the Biz Foundry on North Cedar Street, showcasing artists, makers, and creators from around the Upper Cumberland. And finally, Saturday, April the 27th from 1 to 4, the 10th annual Dogapalooza in Dogwood Park. It's sponsored by the Cookville Leisure Services. For any more details on any of these events, go to my website, randyporter.org, or my Facebook page, Putnam County TN. If you have an event you would like to mention on the air, please message or email me. That's our show for today. I want to thank all my guests this morning for being here, JoJo Matheney and Elisabeth Jones. Join us every Saturday morning at 10:30 for Today in Putnam County, right here on News Talk 107.7, 1400 The Hub. Remember, you can also download the WHUB app and listen to us on your cell phone. If you missed any of our shows, you can go to my website, randyporter.org, and catch up on those. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm County Executive Randy Porter, hoping you have a great rest of your weekend, and may God continue to bless our great county.